Hey guys, in this video I'm going to compare the New Balance 327 with the New Balance 237. So both of these silhouettes are both fairly new silhouettes. The 327 was introduced in 2020 and it was definitely my favorite silhouette of that year. And the 237 is the most recent silhouette, which came out early 2021, late 2020. And they're both really good solid silhouettes. They both feature the same 70s running shoe inspired design, and they both look really good on feet, but there are definitely some notable differences which I'll show in this video. So both the 327 and the 237 do share a lot of similarities. The first of being that they both share the same 70s runner inspired design, so they do look a little similar at first glance. Both silhouettes' general release colorways are both usually under $100 and are a really bang for your buck in my opinion. Obviously my 237 is the more expensive higher end Casablanca collab, but for this video I'll be mostly talking about the general release version. If we're looking at the general release colorways, the 327 usually retails for the lowest around $90, and I've seen the 237 retail for as low as like $75. So both are really cheap shoes if you're on a budget, and there are some really fire general release colorways out there. So I definitely recommend picking them up since they're a really good bang for your buck shoe. Obviously at that price point, both of these shoes are Asian made pairs, but for what you get for the price, the quality on both pairs, from what I've heard for the general release pairs of the 237 as well, the materials are pretty good. They're pretty consistent and solid, and honestly, my pair of the 327, this navy red colorway right here, the suede on this, if you blindfolded me and and you gave me this shoe and I felt the suede, I probably would have guessed that it was made in US at first because of how good it is. And after seeing and feeling it in my hand and taking a look at the price tag, it's definitely a steal of a shoe. The third main thing that both of these shoes share in common has got to be the comfort. Both of these shoes are Asian made pairs with little cushioning technology, and they're both lifestyle shoes. Both of these feature just a generic EVA foam midsole, and this isn't like fresh foam or anything, so it's nothing too special, but it's comfortable enough on your feet for a sub $100 lifestyle shoe. Obviously, you shouldn't expect to run a marathon in either of these shoes, but for the regular lifestyle wear and general comfort, I'd say these are both pretty good on feet. Both of these shoes feature the same flat rope laces, and they both feature a thin nylon tongue. The 327 here has this thin white nylon tongue, and the 237 also has this cream white nylon tongue. Both are pretty thin and a little flimsy and can kind of wrap around your feet when you put the shoe on, which is one of the few downsides to these shoes. Well, thin tongues in general, they sometimes do that, but yeah, just something to note when you're putting them on. They can be a little finicky with the tongue. Definitely one of my favorite similarities that both silhouettes share has got to be the New Balance N logo, and how it's not exactly a logo and it's more like it's part of the design. It's a big N in a certain color or material based on the colorway, and it really blends in on the side of the shoe. Compared to most New Balance N logos, I think it's really nice, and that's what really caught my eye when I first saw the New Balance 327 back in 2020. So moving on to the differences of the shoe, probably the biggest differences between both silhouettes has got to be the outsole design. The 327 has this really cool waffle inspired outsole featured on most 70s track shoes, and the waffle outsole actually wraps around to the toe of the shoe as well as all the way up to the heel, which was a really eye-catching design. The 237 on the other hand features this ribbed herringbone smooth outsole. It's nothing too crazy compared to the waffle outsole, and it doesn't really wrap around like the waffle outsole either. It's more simpler. In my opinion, the 237 at first glance looked like a toned down version of the 327, but I still really like both silhouettes. Another key difference has got to be the padding around the ankle area. And although this is a Casablanca collab, after looking at GR versions of the 237, I gotta say the 237's padding around the ankle area is definitely a lot thicker and more comfortable than the 327. Both 327s I own, the ankle area, there's like almost no padding at all. And it isn't the best feeling around your ankle compared to the thicker padding and more cushioned padding of the 237. So when you're considering buying either silhouette, one of the biggest differences has got to be the comfort around the ankle, and I will give the edge over to the 237 because of the thicker ankle padding around the ankle area. So another major difference between the shoes that you need to consider before buying has got to be the sizing and fitment. As shown here, the 237 is definitely a bit more wide foot friendly, where the 327, in my opinion, runs a little bit narrow. I went true to size on the 327 and it fit me well, but it was a little snug around the edges of my feet. I wouldn't really consider myself to be a wide-footed person, but usually I have almost no problem with the surrounding areas of my foot. But for the 327, if I went like half a size down, which I don't recommend, but if I did, it definitely wouldn't feel good on feet, because true to size already felt a little snug around the sides. As you can see here, I'm trying to show off the outsoles of both shoes, and the middle area, the design of the 327 is definitely on the narrow side. And some people even suggest going up half a size on the 327, and I definitely recommend you do that if you think you might have wider feet, because unlike some of the New Balance made shoes, the 327 and the 237 do not come in wide or narrow sizing either. They just come in the standard numbered sizing. The 237, on the other hand, I actually went down half a size and it fit me well. As I said, it is definitely good in terms of being wide foot friendly, and it felt a little longer as well. So when I went half a size down, it fit me well. I'm usually a size 9.5 in New Balance. That's my true size I consider me to be. But for the 237, I went down to a size 9 and it fit me well. And the 327, I went with a size 9.5 and it fit me well, but the sides of my foot did feel a little snug because of the slightly narrow nature of the 327. So that's definitely a big issue to consider if you're buying either of the silhouettes. So the last real notable difference between the two silhouettes has got to be that on the inside, the 237 still features that N logo, but the 327 does not. It's not the biggest difference in the world, but it is something to note if you think both of them are really similar, and if you'd assume the 327 also has the N logo on the inside, like the 237 does. But as you can see, the 327 does not have the N logo that's on the outside, on the inside, but the 237 has the N logo on both sides. So just something to note. So despite their differences, both the 327 and the 237 are both excellent bang for your buck lifestyle sneakers that usually retail for under $100. Obviously, some collabs and some colorways do retail for over $100, but for the most part, almost all the general release colorways of both silhouettes retail for under $100. And as I stated earlier, despite being Asian made, both have consistent quality in terms of materials for the sub $100 price point, and they're excellent. I really can't recommend both of these silhouettes enough. They're both great lifestyle sneakers, and if you're on a budget, they're great choices. As for my favorite of the two, I think I'd personally give it to the 327 just for the design alone. I really love the eye-catching waffle outsole and how it wraps around the shoe. and the overall shape of it. There are some advantages to the 237, but simply for the design and looks alone, I personally go for the 327. But the 237 is definitely a great option as well. So that's going to do it for this video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.